What if the anxiety you feel in love is not really about love? What if the tightness in your chest, the need to check your phone, the fear that he is pulling away, the urge to explain yourself, the sadness after a small silence, and the feeling that you cannot rest until you know where you stand, are not signs of deep connection, but signs that you have slowly abandoned yourself inside the relationship? I would ask you to look at this carefully. There is a kind of love that does not feel like peace. It feels like waiting. It feels like hunger. It feels like walking through your own life while your mind is living somewhere else, inside another person's mood, another person's silence, another person's attention. A woman may call this love because she thinks about him all the time. She remembers his words, studies his tone, searches for meaning in what he did not say, and feels her entire body change when he becomes distant. But when love turns into anxiety, the soul is trying to tell her something important. Perhaps she is not only loving him, perhaps she is losing herself in him. This is where the feminine psyche must become conscious, because many women do not notice the moment love becomes self-abandonment. It happens quietly. First, she begins to adjust. Then, she begins to wait. Then she begins to silence her needs because she does not want to be too much. She accepts less clarity than she needs, less tenderness than her body asks for, less presence than her heart deserves. And little by little, the relationship becomes the place where her anxiety grows. Before we go deeper, if this message is already touching something inside you, subscribe to this channel. Here, we explore the feminine psyche, anxiety, shadow work, relationships, archetypes, dreams, projection, inner child healing, and the deep journey of becoming whole. This is a place for the woman who wants to understand why she feels so much, why she repeats certain patterns, and why her soul keeps asking her to return to herself. When I speak of anxiety in love, I am not speaking only about nervousness. I am speaking about what happens when the psyche begins to experience love as a threat to the self. The body becomes alert because something inside the woman feels that love may require her to disappear. She may begin to ask questions she cannot stop asking. Does he still want me? Did I say too much? Should I wait? Should I text? Is he distant because of me? Is he losing interest? Is there someone else? What did he mean by that sentence? Why did he change his tone? Why does he give me warmth one day and distance the next? On the surface, these questions seem to be about him. But if we look more deeply, many of them are really about her own fear of not being chosen, not being safe, not being enough, not being able to remain herself and still be loved. This is why anxiety becomes so powerful in relationships. It attaches itself to the person, but it is often rooted in something much older. A woman may think the man is the source of her anxiety, when in truth, he has awakened a place inside her that already knew uncertainty before he arrived. In the unconscious, love is not always experienced as tenderness. Sometimes, love is experienced as danger because the first lessons of love were mixed with fear, absence, criticism, unpredictability, or the need to earn affection. If a woman learned that love could disappear suddenly, she may later become anxious whenever love becomes important. If she learned that her needs were inconvenient, she may become anxious whenever she has to ask for more. If she learned that closeness can turn into rejection, she may feel unsafe even with someone she deeply desires. This does not mean she is weak. It means the body remembers what the mind tries to explain away. Anxiety may be the body saying, I have been here before. I know what it feels like to wait for love. I know what it feels like to become small so someone will stay. I know what it feels like to betray myself in order to avoid being left. And because the body remembers, the woman may begin to confuse intensity with intimacy. She may feel drawn to the man who makes her uncertain because uncertainty feels familiar. She may feel chemistry with someone who gives affection in fragments because fragments awaken the old hunger. She may call it passion, when in truth, her nervous system is being activated by the same emotional atmosphere she has known before. This is one of the most painful confusions in love. Anxiety can imitate desire. It can imitate longing. It can imitate devotion. It can even imitate destiny. A woman may believe, I cannot stop thinking about him, so this must be love. But sometimes the inability to stop thinking is not love at all. It is rumination. It is psychic energy trapped in a projection. It is the mind trying to solve, through another person, a wound that belongs to the soul. When a man begins to live too much in a woman's mind, he is no longer only a man. He becomes an inner figure. She is no longer relating only to him as he is. She is relating to what he represents, the one who might choose her, the one who might reject her, the one who might finally prove she is worthy, the one who might repeat the first abandonment, the one who might repair what someone else once damaged. This is projection. Projection does not mean that her feelings are false. It means that the feeling has become larger than the real person in front of her. The man becomes a screen upon which the unconscious places old longings, fears, fantasies, and unfinished emotional stories. This is why a woman can suffer so much over someone who gives so little. The suffering is not only about what he is doing, it is also about what he has awakened. She may not be grieving only his silence. She may be grieving every silence that made her feel invisible. She may not be fearing only his absence. She may be fearing the old absence that taught her love could leave without explanation. She may not be chasing only him. She may be chasing the feeling of finally being chosen in a place where she once felt forgotten. If this reflection is helping you understand your anxiety in a different way, like this video now. Let it be a small gesture of recognition, a way of saying to yourself, I am ready to stop confusing anxiety with love, and I am willing to understand what part of me has been asking to come back home. A woman begins to lose herself in love when she gives more attention to his inner world than to her own. She wonders what he feels, what he thinks, what he wants, what he meant, what he might do, while her own body is asking for attention. Her own needs become secondary. Her own intuition becomes blurred. Her own desires become quiet. She becomes more loyal to the possibility of being chosen than to the truth of how she feels. This is self-abandonment, and anxiety is often what remains when self-abandonment has gone on too long. The psyche becomes anxious because the woman has left her own center. She is no longer standing firmly inside herself. She is leaning toward him, waiting for his response to decide her worth, his consistency to decide her peace, his desire to decide her identity. No soul can remain calm while it is being abandoned from within. A woman may think, I need him to reassure me so I can feel safe. Sometimes reassurance is necessary in a healthy relationship, but if her entire inner stability depends on his mood, his attention, or his availability, then the deeper work is not only to ask him for clarity, the deeper work is to return to herself, because there is a difference between needing love and needing another person to rescue you from the terror of your own abandonment wound. Healthy love can hold needs, but it cannot become the substitute for a woman's missing relationship with herself. This is why the question is not only, does he love me? The deeper question is, what happens to me when I am afraid he does not? Does she lose her voice? Does she betray her boundaries? Does she become smaller, quieter, more available than she truly wants to be? Does she accept confusion because clarity might cost her the relationship? Does she become obsessed with his emotions while ignoring the sadness in her own body? These are the places where consciousness must enter. In my work with the psyche, I would not tell a woman to stop loving. I would ask her to examine whether what she calls love still contains her. Real love does not require a woman to disappear. It may ask her to open, to soften, to risk, to communicate, to be honest, to grow. But it does not ask her to abandon her dignity, her body, her truth, or her relationship with her own soul. If love requires you to become less alive, less honest, less present, and less connected to yourself, then something has been confused. Perhaps it is not love that is causing the anxiety. Perhaps the anxiety is warning you that you have placed your center outside yourself. This is not easy to admit because many women were taught to see self-abandonment as devotion. They learned to love by adapting. They learned to survive through emotional sensitivity by reading the room, anticipating moods, avoiding conflict, becoming easy to love. Later, in adult relationships, this old training appears again. She may not ask for what she needs because she fears becoming a burden. She may tolerate inconsistency because she is afraid that truth will push him away. She may confuse patience with waiting for someone who does not truly arrive. The shadow of the pleasing woman is resentment. At first, she may believe she is being loving, But slowly, a quiet bitterness appears. She becomes tired of being understanding, tired of waiting, tired of interpreting silence, tired of pretending she does not need what she needs. This resentment is not proof that she is unloving. It is often the soul's protest against self-betrayal. Anxiety says something is wrong. Resentment says something has been ignored. Exhaustion says the woman has been giving from a place where she is not being restored. When these symptoms appear, the first response should not be shame. The first response should be attention. A woman must ask herself with honesty, where have I left myself in order to keep this connection alive? This question can be painful, but it is also liberating. It returns the energy to the place where transformation can actually happen. As long as all the attention remains on him, she stays trapped in analysis. But when she turns the question back toward herself, consciousness begins to return. What am I not saying because I fear his reaction? What am I accepting that makes my body feel unsafe? What part of my life have I neglected while waiting for him to become clear? What truth do I already know, but keep negotiating with because I am afraid to lose the fantasy? The fantasy is important to understand. Often a woman is not attached only to the man. She is attached to the image of who he could become, the version of him that appears in small moments and then disappears again. She holds on to potential because potential allows the dream to survive. But the psyche becomes anxious when the dream and reality are too far apart. Reality may show inconsistency, but the fantasy says he could become present. Reality may show emotional distance, but the fantasy remembers the moment he was tender. Reality may show confusion, but the fantasy insists there is a hidden depth that will one day become stable. This is how a woman can stay attached to a relationship that hurts her. She is not only attached to what is happening, she is attached to what she hopes will finally happen. Hope is not wrong, but hope becomes dangerous when it asks a woman to abandon the evidence of her own body. The body often knows before the mind accepts. The body tightens after the conversation. The body loses sleep. The body becomes alert when his name appears. The body feels hunger, not peace. The body feels small, not expanded. The body begins to speak through anxiety, because the woman has not yet allowed herself to speak the truth. This is why returning to the body is essential. The mind can defend the fantasy for years. The body is more honest. A woman can tell herself many stories about why he is distant, why he cannot show up, why she should wait, why she should understand, why the timing is not right. Some of these stories may even contain truth, but the body will still reveal whether the relationship is nourishing her or consuming her. Love that constantly requires a woman to abandon her body's truth will eventually become anxiety. And here we must be precise. Not every difficult relationship is wrong. Not every anxious feeling means the other person is harmful. Every intimate relationship can awaken fear, vulnerability, old wounds, and uncertainty. The question is not whether anxiety ever appears. The question is what the relationship does with truth. Can truth be spoken? Can needs be heard? Can boundaries exist? Can the woman remain herself? Can the relationship grow through honesty, or does it survive only when she stays silent? These questions matter because mature love does not eliminate all discomfort, but it creates enough safety for both people to become more real. If a woman must continuously betray herself to maintain the bond, then the bond is not supporting her individuation. It is pulling her back into an old pattern. When I speak of individuation, I speak of the movement toward wholeness. A woman becomes more herself. She stops living only through the persona that was shaped to be acceptable. She stops performing the good woman, the patient woman, the easy woman, the endlessly understanding woman. When beneath that mask, her soul is starving. Individuation may disturb relationships that were built on her self-abandonment. This is why growth can feel frightening. The moment a woman begins to return to herself, she may fear losing the person who benefited from her absence. She may wonder whether she is becoming selfish, cold, difficult, demanding, or less loving. But often she is not becoming less loving. She is becoming less available for a love that requires her disappearance. Before we move toward the practical step, think of one woman who needs to hear this. A woman who keeps mistaking anxiety for love. A woman who is waiting for a message, rereading old conversations, blaming herself for needing clarity, or shrinking her own truth so someone else will stay. Send this video to her. Sometimes a woman does not need another warning about love. She needs a mirror that helps her see where she has left herself. Now I want to give you a practice for the moments when love begins to feel like anxiety. The next time you feel the urge to check, chase, overthink, explain, or collapse into fear, do not begin by asking what he is feeling. Begin by returning the question to yourself. Ask what is happening in your body right now. Notice whether the feeling is fear, grief, anger, longing, shame, or the old panic of being left. Give the feeling a name before you build a story around him. Then ask yourself one honest question. Where did I just leave myself? This question is simple, but it can cut through a great deal of confusion. Perhaps you left yourself when you ignored your need for clarity. Perhaps you left yourself when you accepted a silence that hurt you and pretended it was fine. Perhaps you left yourself when you made his comfort more important than your truth. Perhaps you left yourself when you stopped doing what nourishes your life because your mind was occupied by him. Once you see where you left yourself, take one small action that brings you back. Not a dramatic action, not a punishment, not a test to see if he cares. A real action that restores your center. You may put the phone down and return to your work. You may write the truth you have been avoiding. You may communicate clearly without begging. You may decide not to send the message while you are in panic. You may take care of your body, go outside, pray, move, clean your space. Call your energy back from the fantasy and place it into something that belongs to your life. The important thing is not to force yourself to stop feeling. The important thing is to stop abandoning yourself because you feel. This practice, repeated many times, teaches the psyche a new path. Anxiety no longer has to drag you toward obsession. It can become a signal that you are being invited back into your own center. Now write in the comments the city where you are watching this video from and tell me if this message made sense to you. Have you ever felt anxiety grow because you abandoned yourself for love? Have you ever mistaken the fear of losing someone for proof that the connection was deep? If this reflection spoke to your soul, like this video and subscribe to the channel. Here, we continue exploring feminine psychology, anxiety, shadow work, projection, relationships, dreams, archetypes, and the deep journey of returning to yourself. Your anxiety may not be telling you to love him harder. It may be asking you to come back to yourself. I see you in my next video.